With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
We arrive at Talladega this week for round 2 of the PRL NASCAR Truck Series on a slightly somber note. On Friday, the PRL community lost John Labaffe, one of the longest-running PRL members. Since the earliest days of the Precision Racing League, John Labaffe has been there racing, picking up a few wins along the way, and most importantly, making a large group of friends. And because of that aforementioned group of friends that he has formed over the course of those many, many years in the Precision Racing League, the Precision Racing League community has organized, literally and figuratively, to put on a tribute to John here before the race. As they pack up four wide here, I will read the statement written up by the Precision Racing League, and then I will allow the drivers to do their thing, headed by the longest-running drivers who raced with John for so many years in the Precision Racing League. They say, "We all knew John as an incredible husband, father, teammate, and friend who could always be found by his wife's side. It is with a heavy heart to share that we unfortunately lost one of our own PRL family. John was there from the beginning of the iRacing PRL adventure nearly 10 years ago, as he was the most persevering and nicest guy that we could have ever met, who could always bring a smile across your face. We cannot thank John enough for everything he did on or off the track over the past decade, as he will always be remembered at PRL and the racing community. You will be missed." He will be missed indeed, and you can see that QR code that you just saw there. That is the GoFundMe. That'll be at the bottom of your screen all night tonight, or you can go to bit.ly/Labaffe911. 911 was, of course, his long-standing truck number, and that is to help his family with the costs that have come from this tragic situation. You can see Chris Perez will be at the head of the field here, running that familiar 911 from John's truck. He will be at the head of the field, and everybody else in tow, 4 wide around at Talladega. We'll let them do their thing. And then at the end, we can predict that there will be a little bit of burning it down in celebration, as it is a bitter moment, but they're going to turn it into a bittersweet moment, remembering all that John did for them, and we'll let them do their thing here. Mark, Austin Hunter, Chris Perez leading that parade around the track, and now, as ordered by Charles Sumner, who was the brainchild behind this tribute to John, the donuts begin, and the calamity begins here. As Charles said, John would have had a chuckle if everybody ended up slamming into each other doing donuts here, so I'm sure everybody is not as worried as they normally would be, trying to make contact with each other during the donuts. And of course, we do have to think about Charles Sumner as well, who would have been here tonight leading that whole train, but unfortunately with Hurricane Ian's effects in Florida, Charles Sumner, I believe he said a tree got uprooted in his front yard, so he could not race tonight. He has more pressing things to worry about as that hurricane strikes Florida. So we think about everybody who is being affected by that, and of course we think about John Labaffe's friends and family. We hope that if they are indeed watching tonight, that they enjoyed, or they at least like to see the dedication that the rest of the community clearly had, or the dedication that John had, that the rest of the community clearly appreciated from him, and they're all showing their appreciation here. But as they continue to burn it down here just after the start-finish line here at Talladega, as John would have wanted and as all racing drivers want, the heat goes on, and we keep trucking tonight in his honor. And what better way to do that than a celebration at Talladega, Terry?
Yeah, it's not necessarily easy, right? When you lose a member of your community, you lose a member of your family, and that's what the PRL is. They've welcomed me into their family. You've been the voice of PRL for a while, and you know it's a little difficult when you come into one of these shows. And we normally come up here every Wednesday night, and we start the show with humor, and we start the show with a good pun from you, and then you segue it into something crazy that I would say. But watching them go in the 3 wide salute around an amazing racetrack. I was planning on coming to here this week at Talladega, and obviously I'm decked out in orange. We're 2 weeks away from the third Saturday in October, and making a joke about Alabama or making a joke about Kentucky or something. But this is all about Labaffe. This is all about the 911 truck. And I encourage people down there at home that's watching. You got the QR code down there. If you're watching on your phone, grab your partner's phone. Switch to your computer, scan that QR code, and $1, $2.50, something. Just let's help the family out, and let's just be supportive of the whole community as an iRacing family.
And that is the best thing about the Precision Racing League. It is truly a community. I've been commentating Precision Racing League races, like Terry said, for longer than he has. But just this past season, when we both ended up here in the NASCAR Truck Series, we've firsthand met that community. We've broken into it just a little bit, but of course, those guys that have been here literally since before our little statistics sheets start, before that even happened, before these races were broadcasted, guys like John Labaffe, Charles Sumner, Bradley Holly, everybody has been building that community for so long, and that is what makes this league truly special.
Yeah, and we come to Dega. Obviously, we're here to talk about a race too, and this is the great unknown. This is a big unpredictable track. You're going to see some crazy wild wrecks. You're going to see crazy wild finishes. You don't know what's going to happen. You're going to go 3 wide, 4 wide, 5 wide maybe. People getting shoved below the yellow line. People flipping, wrecking. I mean, we saw Dale Jr. Earlier this year on iRacing go upside down in a moon car race. People we're not normally used to seeing up front in practice. You got Dalton Geyer up there, CM Pennington, Ozzy Milan is up front. Chris Perez, they're all leading practice, and that's not something we normally see. But this race could be won by the man starting 37th, could be won by the person running first. You never know.
The great equalizer here at Talladega, and it is only week 2 of the season, so the championship, we haven't really started that conversation yet, but once we get later on into this schedule for the PRL NASCAR Truck Series, we will start thinking championship. We do go to iRacing Super Speedway at week 8. That is not going to be replaced. The only reason iRacing Super Speedway was replaced by Chicagoland in the Cup Series is because it was the season finale, and that was determined, I think, to be a little bit too crazy. But we will go to iRacing Super Speedway. We will have a double plate track season, and the rest of the calendar, Iowa Speedway, always good for the trucks. It's a lot of tracks that, as always, we're looking forward to the PRL NASCAR Truck Series this season.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a bad track on the schedule. Obviously, Iowa next week is going to be just a little bit more unpredictable because the way that the physics are working here with the new update with the trucks is the high lane's normally the preferred group, but the bottom's been able to work in all the leagues that I've called, all the laps I've turned there. The bottom line has been progressive. Homestead's going to be fun because it's a multi-group track. Martinsville beating and banging, and then you obviously talk about iRacing Super Speedway, Dover, Auto Club. Auto Club's going to be I would say the best race that we're ever going to call here in week 10.
I'm certainly looking forward to it, and we can take a look at that championship as well, which is somewhat of a moot point as we've only run one race, but less of a moot point is the 2022 PRL NASCAR Truck Series playoffs, the PRL layoffs once more. Bradley Holly, of course, has a 109-point cushion because of all the points accumulated in previous seasons in 2022, so he doesn't have to worry about the cut line at all as we run Talladega and Iowa over the course of the next 2 weeks. There's a lot of drivers with those big points cushions, but there could be big swings at Talladega, and as we look down to the bottom of the table, Kalen, Sumner, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, Medina, Dalton Geyer, and then all those drivers below the cut line, Talladega could be the chance for some of those guys to advance their way into round of 12 by surprise.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see a guy like Stacy Hunter and Nick Hunter working their way up there. Obviously no relations, but they could work themselves in that area. Jim Westerfield could surprise us and come out and win this thing. We just don't know. You see some of those guys that are above it. Mark Kalen, 18 plus. That's one big one. If he gets caught up in the first sweeping wreck and then somebody else who's behind him doesn't, like Medina or Geyer, well, then he just loses that 18-point cushion. But the guys who were up, like Sink, Acosta, Holly, they're pretty much safe to get through all the way to iRacing Super Speedway before they really have to worry about this.
And then, of course, the season championship just for 2022 Season 4, that is very straightforward. Richard Regan Jr., of course, leads that championship after winning at Texas. But let's take a look at the drivers' champion, or the team's championship, rather, which is more interesting because there's the diversity of performance between some drivers. But Phase 2 Chassis Works, no separation between those two. If you remember last week at Texas, Sean Powell and Richard Regan Jr., they had a titanic battle to the finish. Finished 1 and 2 either way. No surprise to see them at the top of the championship. The two Whataback squads are right behind, Overdrive and Back Row, and then Private Label Team Hype is 4th. So that's going to be a very, very competitive 4-way battle, or maybe a 5-way battle with Car Ramrod right behind. Team DDI, the all-day team, is 6th. The two Riding Shotgun Motorsports teams are 7th and 8th. OGR Racing is 9th, and the third Whataback squad, Loud Pedal Racing, is down in 10th. I'm sure we'll see them advance their way up through the order. And now, as qualifying starts to tick on, we must, of course, thank all the people who make every single Precision Racing League broadcast possible here on RaceSpotTV. VCO, the virtual competition organization, helping us out here at RaceSpotTV and helping make every single Precision Racing League broadcast possible this season. This coverage is also brought to you by Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision5 coupon code. We're also brought to you this season by Racebox Sim Racing. Racebox offers mid to high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, Racebox's button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit RaceboxSimRacing.com and get a 5% discount using the Precision5 coupon code. And from Racebox to RaceLab apps. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app. This coverage is also brought to you, as always, by the Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products provide an incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat with the Butt Kicker. And last but not least, as always, Ninja Trader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, Ninja Trader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. Ninja Trader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. Well, qualifying has actually basically ticked down. Not much performance to track there anymore. But Richard Regan Jr., last week's winner at Texas, we talked about how Talladega is the great equalizer, and it still will be. But even at this track, Richard Regan Jr. finds himself on pole.
Well, I mean, it takes skill to qualify here. I know a lot of people say that it doesn't, but it does. You know, you have to be very fine with the wheel. You have to be fine with your line, and Richard Regan Jr. is one of the best at it. It's no surprise that he's there. I mean, really smooth wheel, really precise with what he does when it comes to taking what line. If he runs the high line on the first one, he's not going to finish there, I don't think, but a pole's a good start.
Qualifying has just ticked to an end, so as the cars grid up here, we're going to take a look at our starting grid for round 2 of the season. Tonight at Talladega, Richard Regan Jr. starts on that aforementioned pole alongside Jeff Evans on the front row. Steve Loving, always good at qualifying on these plate tracks, is third alongside Jeff's dad, Doug Evans. Eric Lambert is fifth, and Abner Acosta will start from the 6th spot. 7th place went to Brandon Walter, Abner's teammate. Danny Cervantes is 8th, Patrick Cowgill 9th, Garrett Austin 10th, Mark Kalin 11th, and James Dewar a solid qualifying in 12th. Unlucky 13th went to Zach Panzarella, and Ryan Traver is 14th. 15th of Mike Richter is in 15th alongside Bradley Holly. Dalton Geyer was 17th after topping practice, and Jeff Hollingsworth will start alongside him in 18th. Doyle Lawrence makes halfway in the field, and Adam Zemke will be 20th. Jose the Funky Colt Medina is 21st alongside Nicholas Hunter in 22nd. Oliver Goff is 23rd, and Scotty Reinshield for Phase 2 chassis work starts 24th. Robert Goff is 25th alongside CM Pennington, and then it's Dylan Schmidt and Jim Westerfield on row 14. Colton Lane and Stacy Hunter round out the top 30. Tom Amasi is 31st, always the driver we look for in these plate races. Sean Powell elected not to qualify. He will start 32nd. Thomas Sink, Adam Shane, Austin Hunter also elected not to qualify. Ozzie Milwane was not allowed to qualify after being deemed to be at fault for a caution at Texas last week. Brian Hoskins and Chris Perez, 2 drivers who also looked very strong in the packs in practice, will start shotgun on the field. 38 trucks at Talladega, Terry. It's impossible to predict who's going to win. I didn't do this last week because I forgot to do it, but I'm going to break out the old random number generator again that almost won me Daytona with Mike Witt. Let's see what it says. I got a 49. If I'm not mistaken, I don't believe there is a 49 in this field this season, so let's roll again. The 8, Tyler Reddick, not here as well. 26, but Mike Witt's not here tonight. I got Mike Witt again. Come on, Mike Witt, that's 2 for 2. If you showed up tonight, you could have won. 43, Richard Petty. I'm going to give up on this exercise, Terry, but I'm going to let you do the random number generation in your own head. Who's going to win this race?
I say if I'm sitting here and I'm just a betting man, I'm going to go with CM Pennington, the 44. Starting back a little bit further on back in the field, but led practice. Obviously had some speed, but it's not all about speed here. You know, speed could fool you. You could be really fast. You could go take the lead, and you might not have the best handling truck. I know handling might sound crazy, but hey, Dega's a handling truck. But yeah, Team DDI every day. CM Punk Pennington gets it done tonight.
For the record, I did keep clicking the random.org generator while Terry was talking, and I got 56. So Richard Regan Jr. on pole is predicted by the random number generator to end up winning this race from pole. So that's a little bit anticlimactic, but I'm sure there will be lots of action here in the race tonight at Talladega, as there always is. It's always impossible to predict in the Precision Racing League. When we go to Talladega, normally we expect a little bit of a caution fest. We expect a race of attrition. The last driver standing, the last survivor is the winner. But so often when we go to Daytona, when we go to Talladega, when we go to iRacing Super Speedway, it's not like that at all. And we get to see restrictor plate style racing, huge track style racing at its best. So as the iRacing sedan pace car navigates its way through turn 4 for the final time, under pacing at least for now, we are going to stack the rest of the field up. It will pull off. Richard Regan Jr. will take control of the field alongside Jeff Evans. He's going to have a long time to wait because of that Talladega start line. But in honor of John Labaffe tonight, Richard Regan Jr. leads us to pole. We'll be going racing to Talladega in a matter of moments. First 2 2/3 of a mile at Talladega are in the books. Richard Regan Jr. still in control of the field, understandably. But on the top of the track, Jeff Evans and Doug Evans, the father and son duo, or the son and father duo, I should say, in the order that they are. They're both trying to form up on the top lane. Still, the bottom, Steve Loving and Richard Regan Jr. holding tough out front.
Yeah, you have to be really precise when you're up there on the outside. I did an open race here about an hour and a half, 2 hours before we got on the broadcast. And when you're up there on the outside, you're giving that shove. Obviously, the shortest way around this track is the bottom, and you can keep it very, very organized. But if you're the 51, he's not going to do it now, but with about, when lap 50 hits his 4:05 to go, you're going to see him start to slide down a little bit, get on the door of the 27. It's not really going to be a good side drift, but it's going to allow to not let them move up out of that groove. It's going to pinch them, per se, and make them work for it a little harder. But that 41 is shoving a mess out of that 51 here.
Jeff Evans pokes his nose into the lead for just a millisecond, but the top line just dies out again. Regan Jr. hanging tough up front. You can see the train all the way to the back of the pack. It almost looks like the pace laps. Everybody is still in the pack. There's not a single straggler. All 38 trucks in this field are still all together in this pack. That doesn't always happen.
No, and if we get green flag pit stops, you're going to see this get a little weird. You see that Jeff Evans is going to tuck down to the low side. That's probably organized between him and his father to send one to the bottom. Hold this lead, control both lanes. Don't allow anybody to overtake you. That's teammate racing, and that's what plate racing's all about.
First time we have a new leader who isn't named Richard Regan Jr. Jeff Evans leads lap number 3 at Talladega. He leads the bottom line in that bright pink truck with Miracle Flow. Doug Evans in the bright green number 41 on the high line. Now Abner Acosta is going to join him. We'll see how well Abner can push Doug Evans, and he's not going to have to because Richard Regan Jr. elects to take the high line. Now Doug Evans is going to be working with Regan and Steve Loving, who has proven to be a very, very good pusher at these long tracks. He's now going to be the pusher for Jeff Evans.
Yeah, you now have to trust everybody. This is a game of trust, because if you're Richard Regan Jr., you're not making that move if it's somebody on the outside that you haven't seen all race long. If it's a guy that's been sitting back there about 20th on back, really hadn't made a run, really hadn't shown anybody as they're going to look to go 3 wide for a second, but you don't make that move with just anybody. He had to trust Doug Evans. He has to trust that Steve Loving's not going to be on his bumper. He has to trust that Doug Evans isn't going to go up there and just turn him as soon as he gets in front of him. So it's a game of what Tony Stewart say? It's a game of chess, and he's too dumb. He plays checkers. Well, that's kind of what this is. It's a game of chess at about 180, 190 mile an hour all the way around this track.
What was that Norm Macdonald joke? He was like, I'm too dumb for chess. I like checkers. Plus the red pieces are yummy. That's basically how I think about that as well. But look up on the high side. I saw Sean Powell and Scotty Reinshield, the 2 other Phase 2 Chassis Works drivers. While we were talking about Richard Regan Jr. thinking about 3 wide, those 2 certainly are. They're trying to force their way forward. And up front, you just saw Richard Regan Jr. go back down to the bottom. He's going to take the lead. Reinshield and Powell on the top are truly making this 3 wide, and they are working together incredibly. They've made up about 20 spots just working together up there on the high line.
Well, and Scotty takes the lead, but he doesn't take it for long, because when they barrel it back down into the corner, the bottom lane starts to do their job. But you see Abner Acosta right there. Doug Evans takes the lead, but Abner side drafted for a tad bit. And the side draft in these cars or trucks make you go faster. Sounds crazy, sounds a little insane, but a lot faster when you're side by side here, because you then begin to push and pull the trucks around. You gain a little bit of speed, and that could honestly help the middle lane. When you go 3 wide, the middle lane begins to get more turbulence through it, and it allows the sucker hole to become like a vortex that's just going to push them forward. They're breaking less air. I wouldn't be surprised to see more drivers jump out there to that outside, as now there's only 3 in the middle.
Garrett Austin was that driver peeking out to the outside. He's actually going to lead the 2 Phase 2 Chassis Works drivers, but you can see the huge checkups here. And this is when the accidents come, Terry. When we have these huge checkups, when we're going 3 wide, there is room at Talladega to go 4 wide theoretically, but on lap number 7, it scared me just a little bit. You see Adam Shane down there on the bottom of the track, by the way. He just drove through the pits, not entirely sure why. He might have gotten into the outside wall, but he's going to be the first driver to go a lap down. It's still crazy up front, though.
Well, if you think this is crazy, you need to come to a C fixed or a C open, because trust me, that's crazy. Try going lap 1, everybody's wanting to wreck one another. But you're right with the checkups here. There's a science to it, and if you go on board with Dale Jr. or Tony Stewart or one of those drivers that was very, very good, or Brad Keselowski or Joey Logano that's so good at these plate tracks, you'll notice that when they're up on somebody's bumper and they start to check up and they feel it, they barely crack the throttle. They're not like letting off of it forever. They're not touching the brake. They just ever so slightly just burp it just a tad bit. And you're going to see that here tonight, where you see these giant holes in between their runs. So you see it here. You got the top 2 drivers all by themselves. And then you look at Jeff Evans. He's sitting right there just a little bit farther back. And now you go on board with Garrett Austin. He's going to come down, try to side draft. He'll get the run because he's getting a push. But these big runs on the outside occur because of the checkups on the bottom and the middle, because they get such a big gap between them. They drive up as fast as possible with the draft, and then it just yanks them all back.
That was a very, very close moment through 3 and 4 between Dewar and Garrett Austin. They almost got into each other. There's still just little peaks and bobbles of drivers getting out of line. And if 2 drivers do that at the same time, they're going to meet in the middle. I hope we don't pile them up here on lap number 9, but some of the drivers in the middle. James Dewar again. Now he hits Scotty Ryan's shield. James Dewar struggling to stay in line a little bit. If I'm on that top line, I might be a little bit worried right now.
Well, I promise you don't get away with it very much here. You might get away with it once or twice, but that 3rd time, there they go, they're wrecking to the back.
Doyle Lawrence, Jose Medina, Ozzie Milwayne. Is he going to keep it out of the wall? He is. Very, very well saved, Ozzie Milwayne. That's all that road course experience, and he's going to wipe out, I think, CM Pennington on his run back onto the track, and I think that will be the caution out. Chris Perez is involved. That wreck took about half the track to finish up, and Chris Perez looks like he's taken the most damage out of it. The background, I think Doyle Lawrence ended up going around. Dalton Geyer, rather, went around Ozzie Milwayne, Chris Perez, and I think Thomas Sink may have had to check up big time to avoid that, but lap number 10, it finally strikes in the middle of the field.
Forever. And I'm honestly not surprised that it happened, because they were getting pretty insane back there in the back. You saw 3 wide at one point in time. I saw 4 wide over our cam. That it took a long time to develop. They made contact in the center of the corner, and then it took them all the way to the very end of it to finally make the wreck happen.
Here we go. Let's see what happened. Chris Perez in the background in that blue truck. Was he just an innocent bystander? It looks indeed like he was. He's just driving along, and then I think he's just going to get smacked. Yep, Adam Zemke ends up on the track. Jim Westerfield got involved. CM Pennington got heavy damage. Lots of drivers who were, I think, just trying to hang out at the back of the field, stay out of trouble. Unfortunately, they ended up being the ones in trouble.
There's never a safe spot at Talladega. I thought for sure, and I won a B Open race here last night, and I thought for sure. I qualified on the pole, and I said there's no way I could get in trouble in the front. I didn't, but the wrecks just happened around me. Like, I'm pushing the leader. I told him from the start, qualified on the pole, and I said, listen, I'm going to let you in, and I'm going to let you lead this race. I feel more confident pushing you. I pushed him the entire race. I'm pretty sure he led all but maybe 3 laps of the race, and I ran second. Farthest I went back is 5th. But when the white flag came out, well, I made my move. And unfortunately, the trouble happened around me because people in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, they all just wrecked. Everybody wrecked behind me, which was kind of a blessing in disguise because I won the race.
Mark Kalin and Bradley Holly win the race off pit road. I think they did not even stop, so they just elected to drive down pit road for, hex and giggles. I can't say what I wanted to say. But Jose Medina wins the race off pit road legitimately. I think he did just take fuel. I don't think he took tires. Everybody else looks like they did, other than Steve Loving and Brandon Walter. They were also in their pit boxes for a short amount of time. But Kalin and Holly, I mean, what do you think the point of just driving through there was? Do you think they're going to pull down again after this to go to the back of the train?
I would imagine so. Mark Kalin and Bradley Holly are 2 smart drivers. They're probably working together here. They both missed their pit box, but I mean, it's a congested pit box. It's a congested pit road. Everybody's there. You got 35-ish drivers that were driving down pit lane at one time. It's easy to oversight what you're going to see. You should take a look here at the caution. Again, you see that checkup happen between I believe that's the 9, and then they all just collect up, and then Ozzy catches, in the wrong place at the wrong time. You can't check up too soon, and what happens. But yeah, they're probably gonna pull back down, go get fuel, go to the back, and then they'll be one lap ahead of what the other guys have.
And that was almost a great save by Ozzy Milwain, but unfortunately there's only so much you can slow down one of those trucks, and Dalton Geyer was the unfortunate bystander there. Let's watch a replay of what happened to Kalen and Holly. It looks like Kalen's thinking about coming in. Well, he just drives through. I don't even think he missed it. I think he just gave up.
Yeah, wrong box.
Oh.
Yeah, wrong box. Here they come. So now they're going to come in, and a couple others decide to come with them. That was Jose Medina. Well. Yeah, and then you got, what's that, Loving, Amasi, Cervantes, Scotty, Lane,
it's like
Richard
the whole
Regan.
Field.
Yeah, come back. Well, I mean, it's smart, right? It's super smart. They're going to pit on what would be lap 12. Everybody else pitted on lap 10 coming to 11. So that one extra lap puts you at the back, gets you somewhat out of trouble. You can control your own destiny. That was a stupid thing to say, is that you don't ever control your own destiny at Talladega or Daytona. You put yourself in your own unique position. I'll say it like that, so I don't sound ignorant.
About half the field elects to come back down. We're gonna look at Mark Kalen here. Yeah, that wasn't his box. That's the 19's box. So Mark Kalen not only missed his stall, he tried to come down into somebody else's, and then I think in the grand scheme of things, the strategy probably worked out pretty well for him and Holly, because they haven't actually fallen all the way to the back of the train. They're about in the middle now, but at the front of the field, Jeff Evans and Doug Evans have found each other once more. They're going to be first and second. Abner Acosta, who was just kind of sitting around biding his time, he's going to restart in third with his teammate Brandon Walter on the outside. So it's the Evans family up front. Then it's private label Team Hype, who are actually both teammates behind them. Then Eric Lambert and Garrett Austin, Jeff Hollingsworth, Oliver Goff, Austin Hunter, and Robert Goff will be the top 10 on the restart here. Little bit of a shakeup, a lot of interesting dynamics to go off of here, but the iRacing Sedan Pace Car will pick up every single driver here. You can see that very, very long snake of drivers on the bottom who all have to join the back of the train here. But Jeff and Doug, are they going to try and find each other again at the head of this pack, Terry? Are they going to try and get a little bit of a jump so Doug can slot in behind, or what do you think is going to happen? What's that dynamic going to be like?
Well, that was also what I was thinking, because when I'm working with a teammate or somebody that I have in my ear that's talking to me, I'm going to jump a tad bit early. But you have to remember, I don't remember if there's a lane change rule or not before you get to the start-finish line. He might not be able to come down.
I believe there is a lane change rule, so if they can orchestrate it after the line, that'd be the way to do it, but I don't think they can do it before the line. But the green flag is back out here for the first restart. The second time the green flag is being shown here at Talladega tonight. Doug Evans on the outside, Jeff Evans on the inside. Green flag is in the air. The bright pink Miracle truck leads us back to green at Talladega.
Well, they actually planned that perfect. I mean, you see that they both took off in sequence. They did exactly what they needed to do, and he allowed the 41 to take the lead, so he slowed the bottom up, got the jump, allowed the 41 to jump with him, and Doug and Jeff Evans controlling the race. And what better sponsor to have at Talladega than, Miracle Flow with the mullet on the front?
And double Miracle Flow. I honestly didn't even realize that Miracle Flow was still in the green truck, but of course it is. Of course Doug Evans is still sporting Miracle Flow. It runs in the family. But Abner Acosta up on the high line with his teammate Brandon Walter. Technically, Doug and Jeff aren't actually teammates. They're just father and son, which might be stronger than teammates if you really think about it. But private label Team Hype, always good at working together. Brandon Walter and Abner Acosta trying to push up to the lead. Doesn't look like it's quite going to happen at the line. It's going to be a drag race between him and Doug Evans to lead this lap. It will be Abner by a few thousandths of a second. Still not even close to being able to clear Doug, though.
Well, you said that being family members is stronger than obviously being teammates. I'm going to be perfectly real with you. I don't think I could be in this situation with one of those two, because I promise you, I would wreck my mother, father, sister, cousin, aunt, uncle, anybody for a win. I don't care who you are. If we're coming to the line and I get a shot on you, I'm taking it.
We'll see if your mom is still watching tonight, Terry. We'll see if she has any response for that. But we still do need to get her in one of these trucks, because I wanna see that situation actually happen. I want to put that to the test. I want to do an actual experiment. We'll see if you'll do it in front of all the Race Spot viewers.
Yeah, you guys are crazy. I absolutely would. I told my wife earlier, if I get a second sim and she joins the league and she's competitive enough with me to be up front. Not saying she's not competitive, she's very competitive. But if she gets up there and races with me, and we're battling for the lead, yeah, make no bones about it. It'll be some hurt feelings in the household.
Steve Loving just pulled down below the yellow line, I think, to go all the way to the back of this train. He was a little bit worried about the 3 wide that's already kicking off in the middle of this pack, and frankly, I cannot blame him. But Jose Medina, Thomas Sink, and a few others have elected to make that 3rd line start working up on top. And actually, that isn't Thomas Sink, that's his teammate Danny Cervantes in the alternate one-back livery. One of these days, I'm going to remember which one's black and orange and which one's orange and black, but today is not that day. They're not really building up any momentum, though. Jose the Funky Cold Medina trying to lead that train, but it's not working quite as well as the 2 Phase 2 Chassis Works drivers were up there earlier.
Yeah, you're not going to get, I rephrased what I was about to say, you're not going to get very much momentum on the outside with just 2 trucks. You're going to need a little bit more. You're going to need to build some momentum, as you see side by side for the lead. I mean, we've been side by side forever. And then we get a good shot of Miracle Flow with the mullet hanging off the back there. Going up here with Jeff Evans. He gave him a tiny little baby shot down the back straightaway, and then did the right thing. Separated in the corners. You can't push at them. But the only 2 places you necessarily can push here and be safe is the backstretch and this little short chute right here, and maybe you can get away with the short chute coming out where the start-finish line is. That's about it. The rest of it's pretty sketchy.
If I remember correctly, there was 1 week where the setups were kind of off in C-Fixed, and you could actually push safely through the corners at Talladega, but even when it is safe, it really isn't safe.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, the only time I'll push somebody through the center of the corner is if it's the last lap and I have you in my ear. Me and you were racing together, and I say, listen, Joey, I'm about to give you the shot of your life, and you're either going to hold on to it or we're all going to the catch fence, because I don't care, last lap, white flag, if you need the win and, you know, whatever, and I'm pushing you and I don't have a position to go, I'm going to shove you around this whole racetrack, blow up or not. It doesn't matter at that moment.
Still trying to make that 3rd line form up, and it is still not working. You can see them fall out of your frame there. It's right on board with Bradley Holly here in the dungeon. And after last week, I mentioned that he should set up even more Legos behind him. He has set up even more Lego sets behind him. They're all Star Wars though, so he's in a different avenue of Lego than I would be, but I still have to support it, and he's just kind of running on his own race here in the middle of the field. You can see him talking. I'm sure he's talking to all of his Whataback teammates. They're all scheming right now because there's a lot of racing to go, and they've got to figure out their way to get back to the front.
Look at his eyes for a second, if we can leave it on this shot for just a moment. Look at everything he's looking at while he's in a 3x3 box with a car or a truck in front of him, a truck behind him. He looked at his pit box, the relative. He looked up at the rear view mirror. He looked over and saw where they were at. He looked at his tack right there. He's looking at his water temps. He's looking at everything, all while he's communicating with the other drivers. And they're telling him, check up on the bottom. And you hear the throttle cracking in and out. Hey, there's 2 above you. Hey, there's nobody below you. They're wrecking up top. They're doing this, they're doing that. And he's just generating a communication level with them, all while reading fuel numbers. Not taking tires on the next time. There's a lot of working going on right here, all in the midst of this chaos.
Yeah, I wonder why Bradley Holly has 115 PRL wins. It's not like he's a skilled driver or anything, but no, he's doing 15,000 things at once, and he's still finding ways to win all these races. It is incredible. The level of a lot of these drivers. Of course, we talk about Bradley Holly as kind of the big dog here in the Truck Series. Abner Acosta as well, with all of his tire saving abilities, but you have to be a master here to do what all these drivers are doing. It's not just full throttle all the way around. It's not just turning left. It's almost as crazy as any other track we go to. There's almost just as much mental work you have to do, or more.
Yeah, here is a different beast. It's a total different animal because, you know, people ask me all the time at work, well, Terry, why do you do this iRacing stuff? Why does this week excite you the most? Well, for a guy that's had multiple concussions, and sometimes I have a hard time finding words. Sometimes I have a hard time finding what I'm doing when I'll forget things. But this makes me test my mind. This makes me think 5 steps ahead, and it doesn't let me forget. It constantly reminds me of things that I have to do. It's also why I wear glasses. I have to wear these to do this. It's hard to stay focused on stuff. But Talladega and Daytona just make you, and it challenges yourself. It makes you do many things to stimulate your brain. This is more, honestly, work in this little 55 laps than a lot of people do with their mind in a day.
Garrett Austin doing a little bit of swervy-worvy back there, 4th in line. He's going to get back in line. Not much changing up front, although there is one new dynamic. See Scotty Reinsfield and Richard Regan Jr. Where did they come from? They used that Phase 2 Chassis Works 3rd line to their advantage. Richard's actually going to completely ditch his teammate, who's going to slot in 4th in line in the top. But Richard Regan Jr. takes the lead over Abner Acosta on the high line, and can both of them work together? Both of those rivals. Will we see Richard Regan Jr. back in the lead? Yes, we will, easily.
Come on and ride on this fantastic ride. No, Coolio. Apparently he just died too. At the lap traffic, you saw him catch the toe off the back of him down the straightaway there. That's what allowed Richard Regan Jr. to get it, also with a shove from Abner Acosta. But man, why'd you have to leave Scotty up here like that?
Abner Acosta is actually going to take the lead. He thinks about ditching his teammate, but I think he just realized that he wasn't entirely clear of Richard Regan Jr., so he's going to stay up there in the top line. This is actually a very interesting dynamic, because if you look at the overall PRL records, Abner Acosta has 47 wins. Richard Regan Jr. has 46 wins. We could see a tie for second after tonight, or Abner Acosta could extend his lead over a little bit and stay second all time.
Well. Math. See, this is why you're the voice of PRL. As you know, little tidbits like that.
I got a spreadsheet on my other screen. I get a lot of help.
Well, you know, I was giving you credit. You took it away from yourself there. Second sitting there. There's a reason they're always first and second, regardless if this is a crapshoot, luck race, or not. You're up front for a reason. You know, no offense to Brandon Walter. When has any time have we said the 99's name?
He's new to the Truck Series this season, so I will defend him. And he does have 1 win in the PRL NASCAR Cup Series, which was the last season before we moved to Race Spot here. But yeah, like, you're completely correct to say that Talladega, it puts names that aren't normally up front, and it's a whole new dynamic. We see Ozzie Milwain was competitive last week. He's up here in the top 10. James Dewar, Eric Lambert, even Scotty Reinsfield, who we know is strong. Ryan Traver as well. They're all finding their way into the top 10. It's an interesting new dynamic up here with a lot of new drivers that aren't normally up here.
One wreck on that 3rd lane going down. It's going to change this completely because, yes, this is a self-cleaning racetrack and everybody normally shoots to the inside wall. But if a mistake gets made out there on that outside lane and it takes second on back, or it takes first on back, or so forth and so on, if it happens in the middle of a corner, you're in no man's land. You saw it at Daytona in the Cup Series in real-life NASCAR when the rain shower hit turn 1. Nobody expected that. It rained and Austin Dillon skirted on the bottom. Well, what are we going to say if a guy back there, I'm going to throw him out there, Austin Hunter, scoots to the bottom, Mike Richter, Tom Amasi, one of those drivers that we have not seen on the 1.5 mile or the 2 mile tracks go out there and put on a performance of winning. And what if they squeak through and they win? That's going to be massive for them, but it's going to have to come at a cost, because we're going to have to start to see some of this 3 wide turn into carnage.
Scotty Reinsfield and Sean Powell have again found each other on that 3rd line. A little bit of beating and banging. Powell's going to ditch Reinsfield. He's going to leave him with Ryan Traver and the lapped Adam Shane up top. Garrett Austin, by the way, if you are a Garrett Austin fan trying to track his performance, we believe that his internet has unfortunately kicked him out of this race. So bad luck for Garrett Austin. He was having a good race up front, and hopefully he comes back into the session to pick up the pieces a little bit later. But Sean Powell, with Abner Acosta, his rival, is going to take the lead of this race. Is he going to be clear of Regan? Can he join his teammate down on the bottom? Not quite into one, but you have to imagine that might just be the end goal.
Well, I tell you what, they need to go thank that 18, because Scotty Reinshield has pushed the top two up to the front. He pushed Richard Regan Jr. to the front, he pushed Sean Powell to the front, and then they ditched him like leftovers in your fridge. He left that man all up there by himself with really nobody to push him, nobody on his back bumper, and they dropped down to first and second, and they're sitting there in the bottom and middle lane, and he's just stuck. Like, every time he gets locked to the back bumper of somebody, he pushes them to the lead. He'll push them up front, and then he gets shoved all the way back to the Hornets' nest, back there in 15th.
So what's the point of this move here for the two Phase 2 Chassis Works drivers, other than Scotty Reinshield, who they've left in the dust? Powell is staying up on the high line, and by doing that, I think he and Regan were trying to defend both lines, but Abner Acosta has found a hole. They got so far ahead that Abner Acosta has taken the lead of this race, and he's taken the lead of the bottom line from Regan.
You're going to try to defend both lanes, as now you see Richard Regan Jr. is going to jump to that middle lane and try to work with his teammate. If you're going to defend both, you have to be smarter about it. You cannot sit there and just get a massive gap. You have to drag the brake a little bit, kind of play chicken with it, play cat and mouse with that outside lane, because the bottom is not going to get a shot that much, because the outside's going to be pushing too. You have to work everything, side draft, you have to work the draft, you have to work, patience. They didn't do that there. Abner Acosta figured out a loophole in the dimension far, far away.
Two by two by two by two by two. Am I going to go for like 17 more lanes? No, I'm actually not, because they only go back. They only go back 2 by 2, about 7. But still, just a huge train, a huge pack of cars still at Talladega, and we have just crossed halfway. So 27 laps to go in this race. If no caution comes out, we will have to start thinking about green flag pit stops before the end of this race. But it's Talladega. You can kind of expect a caution between now and the last 27 laps of the race, but you never know. Oh, and it might just come with the lapped cars here, navigating through everybody with damage. Patrick Cowgill at the back of the field. It looks like they're all going to make it through. Chris Perez as well. All going a lap down, but all giving room, all staying out of the way.
I'll pull my best Lee Corso. Not so fast, my friend. I don't think a caution comes out. I think we go 25 more laps, green flag. Because A, it's the PRL. They do things that we don't think that anybody can do. They make a bad track look good. They make Texas look like $1 million, and Texas sucks. They make plate racing look fun and entertaining and easy when it's not. They can take anything and make it better, and that's why I love coming out here on Wednesday nights for the PRL.
Next driver on the top, I believe that is Dalton Geyer, who's going another lap down. It's either Dalton Geyer or CM Pennington. I cannot tell you who, because they have decided this season to run nearly identical liveries, and I can't determine the number. But either way, both of them are multiple laps down, and one of them is going to be even more multiple laps down, unfortunately. So bad luck for them. They're hoping for a little bit more of a caution fest to get those lucky dogs back, but it has not come. More lap traffic on the top, just staying completely out of the way. It is the most straightforward navigation of lap traffic I think I've ever seen at Talladega, which is helped by the fact that they're only going 2 by 2. There's no 3 by 3 action anymore. They're through again. Brandon Walter and Sean Powell and James Dewar are now the only 3 really up on the high line. There's a couple more stragglers coming to join him, but that high lane is kind of falling apart here in traffic as Jeff Hollingsworth ditched him.
Really wish I would have saved the replay from the last race that I did. When lap traffic did not part the way we wanted it to part. You had one on the bottom, one kind of in the middle, and one on the outside lane. And I just said, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to shoot the gap. And it's fun. to challenge yourself every now and again, but the outside lane fell apart. You saw 2 drivers drop down to the bottom. I'm not going to say it doesn't have a ton of fast drivers up there in it, but it doesn't have a ton of experience on that outside lane. Yeah, you got Sean Powell leading the race, but look behind him. The experience level that you've seen there, Millwayne has damage. Don't know to what extent, what's it's doing to his drag, what's it's doing to his aero there. It's doing something because it's not allowing him to get tucked back up on the back bumper of that. You see a little bit of the kick on the right side of that truck, and he's not really able to make the moves that everybody else is able to make. He's not able to get to the W machine of the 55 and say, hey, I'm going to get you to the back bumper of the 99. I'm going to make you go give him a shot. And I think that's going to be the downfall there, is it has a little damage out there.
Sean Powell able to take the lead there after a good push from Brandon Walter. He finds his teammate down in the bottom, and he leads this race. But Brandon Walter, tons of experience as well for private label Team Hype, leads the high line, and James Dewar now. This is the biggest task of James Dewar's race so far. He is the pusher for the high line. He's been about 3 or 4 rows back for the rest of this race. He's not going to push Brandon Walter at all through turn 3. He's going to completely back out. Is he trying to ditch Walter here with Ozzie Millwayne, or is he just backing out a little bit to build up the momentum? I don't know, but Brandon Walter and James Dewar, we'll see if they can work together here. The bottom line's kind of falling apart too. Look at this separation. Lots of drivers coming down pit road. That would be why. That would be why. Off of my field of view, half the field elects to pit under green here.
Smart. But I tell you why the 55 moved up into the corner the way that he did. Oh my gosh, they're wrecking on pit road. Not your pit box.
Oh, Bradley Holly and Nicholas Hunter. Hunter actually has to take a tow. Colton Lane misses his box as well, and that's going to be a painful tow for Nicholas Hunter, I think, because he he passed his pit stall, so he's going to have to get towed. If my memory is correct, because I think I've experienced this before, he's going to have to get towed 2.6 miles around Talladega because he went past his stall.
Right, and why the 55's pulling out like that? Not to generate momentum. It is, but it isn't. You can do it that way, but he's trying to get air to the front end of that truck. The more you stay tucked up, these things are taped at 35 in the default set. At least that's to my memory when I ran the fixed. 35 is the tape. So when you get tucked up on somebody's bumper, you can do it for about a half a lap and be pretty solid. But once you get to 3, you have to kind of pull the little bit of the nose out, whether it's the bottom or the top, and just allow it to suck some air in to cool it back down and get it to about 260, and then go back to shoving. And you get it to about 275, 280 before everything starts screaming at you.
Race off pit road, won by Sean Powell there, but here comes the second pack of all those drivers who pitted 1 lap ago. If they all look fairly similar, well, they should, because every single driver in this pack, other than Doug Evans at the head of it, is a Whataback driver. All the Whataback drivers elected to come down pit road with each other. There were a few calamities. I think Bradley Holly's lost him because of the kerfluffle, or he might actually be right at the end of the trade. He might have actually recovered from that. But Nicholas Hunter is still getting towed around the entirety of Talladega, and I think Mike Richter may have been the other driver who was involved in that pit road incident. We'll get a replay of that when we can. But up front, there's still some drivers waiting for as long as possible to go, and here is what happened. Bradley Holly in the blue truck, Nicholas Hunter ahead of him, Mike Richter. Oh my God, Mike Richter just slams into Hunter.
Bradley Holly, he survived. He's back there in that little pack, but look at this. Look at what's right here in front of you. If you got to go all the way back to Jeff Evans sitting, I believe he is in the 13th position. He's right around there in that position to find your first car or first truck that's pitted. Everybody else right here is waiting to pit. And my strategy's been different than anybody else's. I wait till lap 40. Regardless of what race it is, whether it's the fixed race, the open race, 40. That's my target mark, because A, it allows you to do something different. They pitted on lap 11, so lap 40 it's very doable. That gives you 4 laps of chance that a caution is going to happen. And if you know anything about Talladega, there's always a chance.
Quick shout out to Garrett Austin. Speaking of there being a chance, he got kicked out. His internet kicked him out. He went 5 laps down, but he is back in this session because I think he knows that There's still positions to be gained. There's still 8 weeks in the season. Every single position in the Precision Racing League on the oval side pays points no matter what. So even if he does only make up 3 or 4 more spots, that's 3 or 4 more points that might just matter for a championship position at the end of the season. So I am always going to shout out those drivers who exhibit that hardiness and they come back out after the internet kicks them out or after whatever happens, because every single point matters here.
I want to shout out the leader for a second, Steve Loving. What a run. We talked about him at the Open, qualified 3rd, is always a really good plate racer. He's very consistent. He runs when he comes out here. I don't believe if he ran last week at Texas, but when he's here, he's a force. He's in the top 10. He's making it count when it matters the most. You see them all dip into the bottom. We'll see when they finally decide to pit. It looks like the 55 of Dewar, one other driver's going to come with him, but this train keeps rolling here. Decided to go side by side, which I still think is the fastest way to do it here in these trucks.
It was Dewar and Panzarella, and I think Dewar has unfortunately locked up the brakes on the pit entry. It looked to me like he definitely slammed that inside wall, and Panzarella, who I thought was coming down, has also missed it. I think both of them must have completely overshot pit road, because Panzarella's still going around here. Let's take a look. James Dewar, Panzarella's locked up before he even starts turning. Dewar still makes it, but I mean, this is a lot slower of a pit entry than he would have liked. No damage, though.
Yeah, I mean, no damage is the biggest thing, but think about all the precious seconds he lost. He lost minutes. Like, that's about a minute that he lost on the racetrack. So when he's going to come out, he's going to lose a lap for sure, because he's not going to catch up to a tail end of a pack anywhere, and he's going to fall way back. Unless he was smart quickly and said, no, I'm not taking tires, he lost a ton of time. But think about this, too, with this pack that decided to stay out on the racetrack. That's less fuel that they have to take. So these drivers are going to come in and they just might take a, maybe 10.8 gallons or 9.7 or something short of what they have to do with no tires. That might cycle them back in with that 30-second gap that they have, might cycle them back in to run right on the tail end of them.
You were right, by the way. Steve Loving missed the season opener at Texas, unfortunately, but a regular in the Cup Series and in the Truck Series here in the PRL, and always strong on super speedways. Tom Amasi showed a lot of promise on the super speedways last season as well when we went to Daytona to end the year. But Tom Amasi's an instant magnet, unfortunately. Through no fault of his own, he just always seems to get involved in other people's accidents. The man has no luck. Could this be the week that it finally turns around? It's impossible to tell within the next 16 laps, but it would be a very, very exciting win for Tom Amasi. We try and hide our bias in the booth, but sometimes when somebody has that much bad luck, you kind of have to root for him to get a successful race eventually.
I will not lie to any of you. I am very biased. Okay, I will say that out loud. I'm biased for Colton Lane. He's a Tennessee Volunteer fan. I'm a Tennessee Volunteer fan. He wins the race. I'm going to be happy as all get out if he gets it. But I'll be happy. I'm happy when anybody wins, because the PRL means something to these guys. This league has been around forever. Like, this league has been on before I even thought about iRacing. And these guys have been together for that long. They have friends. They have family that's in here. This is a community, a group of people that are bonded together by the love of iRacing. But I tell you what, if that group of 4 doesn't pit, if soon, and I mean soon, they've chipped 3 seconds off of that lead. Just going side by side, shove for shove here.
Loving Amasi, Medina, and Milwain still just trying to extend this for as long as humanly possible, but there is almost another race behind him. We'll see how, if the timing works out, we might be able to see him. I thought we might be able to see him in the background of the shot there, but that'll still be probably a few laps away as they continue to build up that momentum. But I imagine these guys are just waiting for a caution, and when everybody behind them is packed up like that, it's a possibility. These guys are probably all looking at their relatives, hoping that that will happen and it'll all cycle out for them, but right now, it's just the waiting game, I guess.
They're going to have to hope for a massive wreck in order to give themselves, any type of shot to kind of work this up. I mean, it only takes 3 laps to get from last to first in these things. You go in a hole where nobody else is, and then you're there. As you see the side by side there, they're on the back straightaway. they're just now going into the Guado. So that's a massive lead that they're holding. And if the caution does come out, I mean, they're 3 wide, for heaven's sakes, going into 1.
Trying to solve everything back here. Abner Acosta and Brandon Walter, the 2 private label Team Hype drivers. On the right of your screen are the drivers making that third line work, or at least attempting to make that third line work. It doesn't appear to be working out very well for them, unfortunately, for private label Team Hype and the private label Team Hype fans that I'm sure are in the audience tonight. Doug Evans goes down to the bottom of the track. He's going to lead what will likely be the lead pack and the race for this win, but for now, it's still a race for 6th. Fifth. somewhere in that range of behind the 4 out front. Yeah, I mean, I like the strategy, because you got to think, anticipation's starting to get a little hairy here. Everybody wants to see something. Some of these drivers topped off. Steve Loving, Tom Amasi, Jose Medina, they topped off towards the end as they're coming down pit lane now. No tires. I hope they have the tires unchecked, because low fuel and less time on pit road, and try to get back out there as quickly as possible. Looks like everybody got it slowed down. Ozzy Milwane was a little bit hot, but I think he did get it slowed down, and also he has a very early pit stall, so he is in that stall. He will hopefully drive away without any sort of penalty, and yes, he will, because he took tires. He didn't have to sit in the box at all. So Ozzy Milwane, Steve Loving, Jose Medina, and the 4th guy, Tom Amasi, who was scrolling down my screen. That's why I lost him. Now Doug Evans does take his rightful lead of this race, and now it's a 12-lap shootout to the end. Who's going to win it? Sean Powell almost below the yellow line in turns 1 and 2. It's getting dicey up front. Every single one of these drivers has a shot from 1st to 14th, even down to 15th. Zach Panzarella is still with the pack. It's anybody's game.
Anybody in this lead shot here as we look at Mark Kalin. Okay, I like this. Lights off, so I don't have to see that crappy Kentucky thing behind you, but the shirt's got to go, my man. We all know you root for a crappy football team. I'm pretty sure all 52 people watching, plus the 3 up here in the booth, we understand. You are a UK fan. We got our bet still on. I cannot wait to see that truck with a massive Tennessee T right down it.
It might just happen before the end of the season. We'll have to wait and see. I'm not picking sides, but I for one will welcome both possibilities from that bet, because I think they're both going to be pretty good things for you people at home to watch. But anyway, still 3 wide here. Mark Kalin, very, very focused. And there's 1 lap truck, though, up on the high line. 3 wide, and that's going to cause a massive accident. 3 wide, and they take out a lap truck. We have wiped out surprisingly few trucks there. I thought that was the whole pack, but we've kind of erased everybody. We've kind of self-cleaned the racetrack by sending those 3 or 4 drivers down to the apron. Sean Powell, Richard Regan Jr., Eric Lambert, Bradley Holly. They've all been taken out. There was a lap car up there. I don't know where else he could have gone.
Oh my gosh. Holy crap. That was stupid.
That was the 19 of Eric Lambert, who was leading the top line, with Sean Powell and Richard Regan Jr. also getting taken out there. What should have been done there, Terry? I need you to send him to school.
Oh my, go to the apron. What do you mean what you should have done? The apron. Like, you got a whole, you've got God's green earth down on the bottom. You see them 3 wide. What in the world are you doing up top? There's nowhere for him to go.
That is basically exactly how I'm feeling as well. But I needed Terry to do the tough job there. But that is so unfortunate. Sean Powell and Richard Regan Jr., they were so competitive. They were so dominant, and they've been taken out by a freak accident there. Eric Lambert as well was doing a great job. Zach Panzarella got involved in that as well. Unfortunately, that has wiped out 4 or 5 strong trucks from this battle for the win. There's still quite a few left. Austin Hunter currently leads the race with Doug Evans to his outside and Jeff Evans behind him. But that's 3 trucks erased from the possibility of this win.
No, look at the front of the 41. See, now I got a job to do, and I've just got my blood pressure up because that honestly irritated the mess out of me. The 41's got damage on the front here. That Chevy's caved in. But look who's leading, Austin Hunter, our man with the big old sign behind him. That's bizarre. But now everybody in the top 10, I would love to see win this race.
That's eliminating Bradley Holly, of course, in 11th.
Obviously, I don't want to see him win this again.
Yep.
I don't want to see Acosta win it either, so fine. I don't want to see the 5 or the 184 win, but I want to see somebody, not Acosta or Holly, win this race.
Austin Hunter's big sign was made possible by his friends at Established Traffic Control. And
Right.
He has established traffic control at the head of this field. Doug Evans not able to clear him, though. I should have saved that one for the end of the race. If Austin Hunter wins this race, that would have been the victory call, but I can't do it again now.
I mean, you're right, you can't, but I'm sure you can think of something witty to say. You're quick on your feet. But I'm so proud of this. I'm so proud of what's up front right now. I mean, we talked about this to open the show. We talked about this to end the show last week. The great unknown, the great equalizers here. Austin Hunter said this was a great opportunity for him to win. Mark Kalin could get a win. As much as I don't want to see a Kentucky fan do anything winning, that'd be cool to see, to talk to Mark Kalin in Victory Circle. Danny Cervantes has been a great name around here with us. Jeff Hollingsworth, for heaven's sakes, is up here. This would be a very cool win, but not the 5 or the 184. I've seen them win too much.
And none of these drivers up front are really in for any kind of playoff upset. All the drivers who are highlighted in blue are playoff drivers, but they're also drivers who have fairly comfortable cushions. Austin Hunter is 32 points above the cut line. Jeff Evans is 59 points above the cut line. Obviously, Acosta and Holly are safe. Cervantes and Kalin have similar gaps to the cut line, although Kalin's only 18 points above, so if he had a bad Iowa, he could be in danger, but a win for him would certainly solidify his playoff chances. And Mark Kalin has had no luck whatsoever over the last 2 weeks in the Precision Racing League. He got one good result at Texas in the Cup Series on Sunday, finished 3rd on track, ended up being reinstated as 4th. But last night in the GT3s, he got taken out and got disqualified because he hit too many incident points. Right now, he's got a shot at victory at Talladega.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got a shot right here. You talked about it a couple laps ago. Everybody in this pack right here has a shot. But what's stopping Jeff Evans from coming down and maybe protecting this win even more is the fact that they can't shake the 312 of Austin Hunter. Because after Acosta is all over the back bumper of him, not allowing this to happen, you'll start to see the side draft because we're coming to 5 to go like I talked about. The 41's going to have to get down there. That damage is hurting him more than he cares to admit because he now has, it looks like a bulldozer on the front.
This race has absolutely flown by. I would not, if I had to guess, if I was just watching this race at home, I would not have been able to tell you that there's only 5 laps to go. I don't know where the rest of this race has gone, but it is crunch time here, and the 3rd line is forming again. Scotty Reinshield, Brandon Walter are the 2 up top. Phase 2 Chassis Works and Private Label Team Hype trying to make an alliance up there. Can they make the 3rd line work? Reinshield has done good work up there. He's done a great job of pushing his teammates. Evans and Walter almost get into each other on the top. They get away with it, but we're starting to see space run out.
Yeah, space is going to become a premium. You see the 99 jumping to the top, and looky, look who's pushing him up top. The man who has pushed everybody to a race lead here this afternoon, and that's Scotty. That 18 truck has been high, wide, and handsome all race long, shoving a new person to the lead. Can he do it again for that private label machine with the 19 right in front of him? Oh, that's the 99. I'm sorry. Can he push the 99 to the lead? Can Walter get a win?
Walter gets into the outside wall there. I think he did actually clip the outside wall just a little bit. He gets away with it, of course, just a little scrape, but they are playing with very, very thin margins here. Scotty Reinshield has been probably the best pusher of this entire race. Jeff Evans is also playing with fire, going up high, four wide with a lapped car through the tri-oval. That's Tom Amasi getting out of the way. Another door bang. Jeff Evans and Brandon Walter have not been able to stay off the side of each other. You can see the effects on the side of Evans's truck. Tempers are flaring. There's not a lot of room to work with here. if Evans and Walter end up together on that last lap, I don't think they're going to be too kind to each other.
Well, I mean, there's going to be some words said in the PRL after this race. I'm not too sure any of them are going to be able to be said on the RaceSpot broadcast. If we talk to anybody who was collected in that big one, the 18 almost caused it, and that would have wiped out this whole field. And then I can't see who that is. I believe it's Bradley Holly that's sitting there kind of towing on the back. Nope. Somebody else towing on the back of this here. There they go.
In the background, and we will go to a green-white checker to finish at Talladega. Adam Shane, who I was just about to mention, was doing such a great job on his recovery drive. He went a lap down almost instantly. He got waved around. He was racing in the top 13, and Adam Shane has been turned around, and we're going to a green-white checker. Let's see what happened to Adam. That's Colton Lane behind him. Jose Medina in the middle. Ozzie Milwane in the bottom. Looks like Shane just blows by everybody, and I don't think he was quite clear, or he got clipped.
That's product plate racing. Look who's leading, though. The 312. Austin Hunter held the lead there. I don't know how he did it, because he was 3 wide under a blanket on the bottom, and he managed to hold on to it.
We said there were 10 or 11 drivers in contention for this win. Let's make that 24 now on this green-white checker. Anything can happen at Talladega. Remember James Buescher coming from what, like 17th on the last lap to win that Xfinity race? Or that was the Truck Series. I don't even remember at this point. But we've seen very, very crazy things happen at Talladega in real life and on iRacing. And now suddenly it's got even more wide open.
Yeah, I mean, think about all the great things that's happened at Talladega. You got to think 2000. Dale Earnhardt goes from 17th to 1st to win it in a couple laps. Dale Jr. drove through the field here to win the Winston Million back then. And
Austin Hunter is pitting from the lead.
Why are you pitting?
Austin Hunter has elected to come down pit road from the lead of this race. The only thing I can think of is that he didn't put enough fuel in the truck to make it to the end of this green-white checker, which is not really a possibility. They've only done 15 laps on this stint, but if they were calculating to the end of this race, we're adding additional laps to this race distance. He might just not have enough fuel in the truck. Steve Loving and Traver and Lane are going to come down as well.
That's what the comment out there in the chat, that he was low on fuel. Bad Austin. Now you got to drive through this field, but you said it perfectly. We had about 10 or 11 trucks that was in the range to win this race. Now Austin's going to find himself in 14th, right behind Robert Gow. You still have a chance. Everybody right here has an opportunity to reset themselves and think. They have to think moves ahead. You have to think about if they have a spotter. If you're Danny Cervantes and you're going to start 3rd on the inside row, he has to be thinking what Doug Evans is going to do. Doug Evans has damage on the front. How much drag is that going to do? He's not going to be pushed in the air perfect. He's going to be pushed in the air kind of awkward. So it's going to slow him down a little bit, 1 mile per hour, maybe 1.5 miles, but that's a lot. How's the outside going to carry? Is Jeff Evans going to be able to hold it? Like, all of these drivers have to think, okay, if Abner Acosta makes this move, do I go with him or do I go with the other guy? Do I go up top to go with this lane or do I stay with this one? Do I shoot the middle? They're all setting up in their mind what you have to do to win this race.
There is one singular green-white checker in the Precision Racing League. So if we get another wreck, if we don't make it to the white flag, that will be the end of the race. So we're racing to the caution, we're racing to the white flag, or we're racing to the checkered flag. Either way, this is going to be insane. And I don't even know if there's any point prognosticating anything here or predicting anything. I just want to fast forward about 1.5 laps from now. I just want to get this thing going.
I mean, we're going to be waiting for a second. These laps around here are a bit long. I think the lights will go out when they cross the finish line here. So we got about 1.5 laps to go. I'm just sitting here thinking of weird things to say on a broadcast.
I'm not going to break out the random number generator again, but I will say, unfortunately, Richard Regan Jr. has finally been terminally damaged. He was still hanging out in the lead lap, but he is in the pits right now, 3 laps down. So once again, the random number generator fails. I think that is I think that's a trend that I expected, but I'll bring it back for iRacing Super Speedway in a couple weeks. We'll see if it finally gets one right. But anyway, the lights are out on the iRacing Sedan pace car. It'll be Doug Evans again leading the field, trying to get his first win in the Precision Racing League. Abner Acosta trying to get his 48th, will be behind in second. Jeff Evans is third. Mark Kalin is fourth. Danny Cervantes is fifth. Brandon Walter, Jeff Hollingsworth, Bradley Holly, Thomas Sink, and 10th place is Scotty Reinshield. And you go all the way back to 20th place, Sean Powell, for every single driver on the lead lap. 20 trucks in contention here. We are racing to the white flag on this green-white checker. Then we can race to the checkered safely. What's going to happen here, Terry? Is Austin Hunter going to be able to drive his way through?
I don't want to doubt my man because he's got a massive sign, and I really like the sign. I think the lanes are going to clog up here. Everybody, that's the sucky part about Talladega, is while there is 4 lanes, they get clogged very quickly. It's kind of like I-95. Everybody funnels in to their lane and they stick there, and there's really no wiggle room. Unlike Daytona, nobody wants to go 3 wide, so you have a chance to force it. I honestly have to say, I think that I think the 62's in the catbird seat.
Here we go. You can feel the intensity, even at virtual Talladega, even with these virtual engines. A lot of drivers know that this is their opportunity to get that first win, to help their playoff chances, to help their full season chances. And there's a lot of drivers, frankly, just hoping to survive, trying to fight for this championship. Doug Evans in the bright green Miracle Flow truck. We've seen it up front all day. This has been one of the best races for Doug Evans in a few seasons, maybe just a few weeks. He was pretty good at Daytona as well, but through the tri-oval we go. The iRacing Sedan pace car is on pit road for hopefully the final time. Doug Evans, the green truck leads us to green. Abner Acosta on the outside, and Doug's son Jeff in the bright pink truck is behind him.
It was a lousy start from the 5 out on the outside lane there, and Mark Kalin did all he could do to give him a shot. It was not timed properly there, but that's team communication between Doug and Jeff, because now that bottom lane with Danny Cervantes pushing, they're tight knit. That's 5-3, and now it's 3-3.
Racing to the white flag here. If we can make it down the back straight and through the tri-oval, we will get to race to this finish. Bradley Holly and Brandon Walter switching around for 4th in line. Walter is all alone on the top of the track. He's going to be accidentally joined by Mark Kalin. Jeff Hollingsworth swerving all over the place. Holly down to the bottom. Through the tri-oval we go. We've survived the most difficult part of this lap. We will take the white flag here. If nothing happens through the tri-oval here, yes, indeed, we will. White flag is in the air. Doug Evans, Jeff Evans, they lead the field to the white flag, but who's it going to be in 2 2/3 of a mile?
Sure, becomes the pushy. Abner Acosta has gotten to the back bumper of Scotty and the 18 machine. Can that be the winning move that's going to put them there? They come down the back straightaway for the final time. Abner Acosta's all up the back bumper of that number 18 Ford. Can that be enough?
Abner Acosta and Bradley Holly, the 2 championship rivals from last season. It's 4 wide going into turn 3. Evans, Holly, Acosta, and Hollingsworth. Acosta spins. Acosta will not be in contention for this win. He might still make the line, but up front, Jeff Evans, Doug Evans, the green truck of Doug Evans, his son Jeff behind. Jeff ducks below. He doesn't go below the yellow line. Doug blocks that off. Jeff is going to have to push his dad to the victory here. And for the first time in the PRL NASCAR Truck Series, Doug Evans is a winner.
All right. The momentum was killed when they took it 3 wide, and then when they went 4 wide with Bradley Holly. But heck yeah, man. That's it, Doug. My man, Miracle Flow 1-2, baby. It's a win for bullets everywhere.
Finally living up to the W. Doug W. Evans is a winner in the Precision Racing League in the PRL NASCAR Truck Series. Jeff was certainly trying to beat him. He peaked below the yellow line a couple times, but Doug was on the defense there, even with the damage to the front of that truck, and there was nothing Jeff could do. He wasn't going to wreck his dad, as that is explicitly disallowed by the PRL rulebook, but he certainly tried everything he could.
That's so awesome. That is so awesome. Probably the coolest thing I've ever called on iRacing. Father-son pushing each other to the win. That's special. And Dega, of all places, this is a really cool moment.
Something tells me that Jeff Evans isn't too displeased about this second place finish. This family 1-2. He joins his dad for the donuts here. It's an Evans family moment on the front straight after a 1-2. Everybody else, I'm sure, in bitter disappointment, brings it down pit road. There was some crazy stuff going on in those finishing results, and I'll tell you all about them once we finish up here. But for now, it's still Doug Evans' moment, and I can guarantee you he's going to try and make this as long as possible.
I sure.
Or he's gonna stop the second I say he's gonna make it as long as possible. That's just a perfect way to cap it off Doug Evans. But anyway, Doug Evans is your victor at Talladega over his son Jeff Evans. Brandon Walter ended up in third over Danny Cervantes. Scotty Reinshield did so much work for his teammates, didn't get repaid with a win. He was fifth. Bradley Holly brought it home in sixth. Jeff Hollingsworth, Thomas Sink, Stacy Hunter, and Robert Goff rounded out the top 10. A good top 10 for Robert Goff, by the way. Sean Powell recovered up to 11th by the end. Zach Panzarella was 12th. Steve Loving was 13th. And Abner Acosta, despite getting turned into the wall in the last lap, still managed to finish 14th. James Dewar was 15th. Colton Lane 16th. Ozzie Milwane ended up being the last driver on the lead lap. Mark Kalin, Ryan Traver, and Jose the Funky Cole Medina were 18th, 19th, and 20th. Oliver Goff, Patrick Cowgill, and Austin Hunter were unable to drive their way back through the field. I think they must have all gotten taken out in the last lap there. And we start to get down into the used car lot. A lot of drivers didn't make it to the end of this race. Some did. Amasi and Perez both did. Richard Regan Jr., I don't believe, did. Nicholas Hunter, Dalton Geyer, Jim Westerfield, and Adam Shane all ran into assorted amounts of trouble. And it continues. Brian Hoskins, Garrett Austin, Mike Richter, CM Pennington, Adam Zemke, Eric Lambert, Dylan Schmidt, and Doyle Lawrence was the first casualty down there in 38th. But Terry, would you believe it? For the first time, we were about to talk to Doug Evans, and then I just saw him disconnect from our waiting for interview channel. So I'm actually going to give you a couple seconds to talk about this win, and I'm going to hope that Doug Evans shows up again before we can talk to him.
Oh, yeah. Almost had to say a no-no word on the broadcast of why the 5 spun there. I will call that arrow loose. And then I'll call the 60 going around there with Mark Kalin arrow as well. A little push there of the bubble of air that's separated between these trucks. And then a lot of flipping happens. Kalin goes around, goes up and down, and 28 goes flipping everywhere. Craziness.
Doug Evans has returned, and I am so ready to talk to Doug Evans for the first time, a winner of the Precision Racing League, and you've done it at Talladega in probably the most impressive race I think I've seen out of you.
Yeah, thanks. No, that's kind of one of my favorite tracks, so it worked out really well. Stayed up front, didn't get in too much trouble, and I didn't blow my pit stop, which is my norm, so feel good about that.
So what was that final lap like? You had Jeff behind you, you had him trying to push you, you had him trying to take the win away from you. What was that dynamic like for you?
No, it was good. He and I have run a lot of laps together, so we knew what we were doing as far as what the plan was, and just try to help each other get to the front and stay there. So that worked out great, and I appreciate his help.
So there's 8 races left to go in the season. You finally got the win in the bag. Is that going to be a confidence boost for the next 8 weeks for you?
It certainly doesn't hurt, although, like I said, it's one of my better tracks, like it is for most people, and as long as you stay out of trouble. But no, I've been practicing a lot of the other ones, so hopefully I'll get some decent runs going again.
And I do have to ask you, what does the W stand for in Doug W. Evans? We have to finally know.
It's a top secret middle name that my father gave me.
Winner.
Well, you know, exactly. That's what I was about to say, Terry. And I don't care what it really stands for. Doug W. Evans is now Doug Winner Evans. Congrats again on your win tonight. And shout out those Miracle Flow people. I'm sure Jeff will do that too.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's one of Jeff's sponsors, and he carries it over to mine. And I want to thank the Waterback guys. They've always let me practice with them and, continue learning different things about the league and all that. And, of course, PRL and you guys. So, and this one's obviously for John Labaffe. So.
Indeed it is. Congrats again on your win tonight, and here's to talking to you many more times this season.
Thanks, guys.
Doug Winner Evans, victorious. And Terry, you could talk to his son, the guy who didn't win.
Son who didn't win. I like it. Jeff, what's up?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Well, it's going pretty good. We watched a really good race here at Talladega. You pushed your dad to a win. What kind of... Is that a storybook ending?
I mean, I know I told you guys a couple of weeks ago I would turn him for the win because I need the playoff points, but the way that played out, I couldn't do it.
Well, I want to talk about a moot point in the race. Obviously, he gets damage on a, I would say, a questionable decision that happened during the race. What did he think? Did he think he still had a chance? And what was it like pushing him with a little bit of aero damage on the front?
Well, luckily for us, it seemed like pretty much everybody at the front of the pack kind of had some form of aero damage. So I knew we were strong enough for the two of us to stay out in front, stay on at least on the front row of that whole pack. So at that point, I knew I was just going to stick with them and get to the end.
Well, I think my call, it might make the Miracle Flow Instagram again. I said it was a win for mullets everywhere. And 1-2 finish for the Miracle Flow mullet team.
Yeah, it's going to be, I'll have to go back and get a picture of that one. That's pretty cool.
That's pretty special. All right, let's talk about those Miracle Flow people. Shout out to them sponsors.
Yeah, obviously, like I said, shout out to Phil over at Miracle Flow for sticking with us week after week, and as well as on the road side of things with not only the GT3 Sprint Series, but M-Tech coming up in a couple of weeks as well. And then shout out to Maserati Matt and Riff Raff and everybody else, all the PRL sponsors, Advanced Sim Racing, and most importantly, especially today, the Waterback guys. Obviously, couldn't. We say it every week. We can't do it without each other, but I mean, I think it really holds true today. So it was an awesome run for all of us.
Well, we appreciate your time, and thanks for the good storyline here. Jeff pushing Doug to the win. We'll see you next week at Iowa.
See, he owes me one now.
Yeah. Hey, Joey, you owe me one too.
Take it easy, guys.
Thanks, Jeff.
I'm just trying to think about what I owe you. I'm thinking about, is that a threat? I probably do owe you something. I don't know. But anyway, Brandon Walter, you finished third tonight. That was a crazy final lap, and you made it to the end. But what more did you need to break up that Evans armada?
Well, I need my teammate Abner. He was kind of damaged, and he got in a wreck going in the 3. I was hoping that me and Brad and Mark could hook up or something. We used to all be on a team together, so I was hoping we could get that, but it was rush hour traffic, and I just did what I could to get the best spot I could. So
it seemed like you and Scotty Reinsfield were trying to make something work once Abner got erased from contention. Was that working at all for you, or was it just off kilter working with two different teammates together?
Scotty was doing great. He took the chance of going up high with me. I was just, the back end would get a little light, and at one point it got too light and kind of had to straighten it out. He had to straighten out, but I think had we kept going green, we would have just made it work. So I gave him a nice shout out in the race. He was doing pretty good. So that was going to be a lot of fun had there not been that yellow.
Iowa's next week. We're gonna divide like 2 2/3 of a mile for Talladega down into 7/8 of a mile. Are you looking forward to the short track at Iowa?
Oh, absolutely. Iowa's a fun track. I really wish like Cup Series would go there and everything, but it's fun. Always been a fun track of the trucks. There's a few grooves that you can run, so it should be an interesting time, I think.
All right, congrats on third, and we will see you next week at Iowa. Great.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for broadcasting us. And this one's for John Labaffe, who we lost, and to everybody that was friends with him, and then everybody on the team and everybody here. So thanks, Private Label, and thanks for you guys, and thanks, Ethica, and we'll see you next week.
We will see you next week, indeed. And we've got another driver to talk to. The hits keep on coming. We got a few more. Bradley Holly ended up in 6th, and he is ending up with Terry.
The man, the myth, the legend, Bradley Holly. Uh, so obviously, we asked you last week to show us more of your top shelf liquor. I mean, Star Wars action figures. Walk us through them. Let's see them.
Well, like I said last week, I'm a man child, so every time I see a Lego set that I want, I go out and buy it. I've got a bunch of, I got the R2D2, the BD1, and then all the helmets that you can collect with the Legos. And then, a couple of things here and there that I like to buy and just build because, again, I'm a man child.
Can I be honest for a second on here? I've never seen Star Wars. I've seen the spoofs, but I've never seen them. It's been a thing. Let's talk about your race. You were very meticulous of how you took that last lap.
Yeah, leading up to it, avoiding that wreck, for a second I was worried that I had lost the draft, and then, a couple small pieces fell in just right for me and was able to get up there. And then on that last restart, I saw a couple guys that I wanted to get behind or out of my line and try to help my guys win. And when I took it 4 wide, I was like, here we go. And then I got that run on the 18 and side drafted him to slow him down to get Doug to finish first. And that was basically my goal from where I was starting.
Can we be cocky for a second? Are you going to win next week, Iowa?
I don't know. I got to put the practice in. I got to put the practice in to be up front because everybody that's been racing the last couple seasons has been very tough to beat. Abner, we got Sean Powell, Richard, Doug, Jeff. I mean, everybody. It's so much harder to win now compared to how it was a year ago in the PRL, and it's making it a lot more fun to race.
I can never get you just to go out there and say you're going to win this race. I'm gonna get it eventually throughout the season. All right, let's thank your sponsors and your team, and then we'll move on to Iowa.
I want to thank Waterback. Everybody in the Waterback crew. We worked hard today to try to get one of us in victory lane, and it ended up happening. I'd like to thank everybody in the PRL for putting on these great races, and you guys for putting on such a great broadcast. I always enjoy going back and watching it.
You know what? That makes me happy. See there, Joey? Somebody likes us. But that's Bradley Holly. P6 here tonight, but he's always P1 in our hearts.
We know that Gearhead25 in the YouTube chat likes us at least. So we got one. Fair. We got 2 more actually. We'll get to Thomas Sink really quick, and then we've got a grand finale with Austin Hunter coming up. But Thomas Sink, P8. I'm sure you wished it was 7 positions higher, but you kept the win in the family apparently.
Yeah, I want to win it for John. It was really kind of a hard hit this week hearing about John. He was always a good teammate back in the day, good friend, good father. Kind of a bummer. Maybe hopefully next week I'll be able to do it for him.
Let's talk about. We talked about that in the pre-race. Terry and I did when we were both introduced to this community. We were both amazed by the community that's been formed over all of these years with John, with you, with everybody in here who's been here for so long. Just talk a little bit about how this Precision Racing League family has been formed and how it's affected all you guys.
Yeah, I mean, started out just kind of a couple guys racing. We weren't getting great attendance, maybe only 10 people. And people like John and Charles and Brad and I just kind of all connected and clicked together. And we started forming What a Back and working together as the crowd kind of grew. And then the broadcast came, brought more people, and it solidified more of our friendship. We go to different races over the years. We've met up at each other's houses. Just kind of became a family. I don't think there's not one person in this race, or even in the broadcast booth, we wouldn't jump the second they needed help. I mean, it's just been one tight community gathering just over the last few years.
And that's it's great to see. And I know Terry and I, we both feel like we're a little bit of a part of it too, even from up here in the broadcast booth. But I'm sure everybody is happy to hear what you've said tonight. And I guess we'll see you again at Iowa to keep the good things going.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for your help.
That was Thomas Sink, driver number 48, position number 8. And as always seems to happen, Austin Hunter, the grand finale, is with Terry.
Short on fuel, really? That's your reason to throw the lead away?
Yeah, I just completely blew it. I'm gonna try to get through all this without crying here. Just heartbroken. I wanted that for my buddy John so bad, just threw it away.
Well, I see the sign behind you. Normally we talk about your big sign back there from the traffic control guys, and talk about how much, John meant to the PRL. Obviously, he had been around for a while. See it back there with the stats, 5 wins, 1 pole and 1,000 or 1,000,000 laps. You got the rest of the season to prove a point and to do it for him. What's the season going to be like, without your buddy? But how much is that going to fuel you to go out there and win?
Oh, it's going to fuel me. Definitely going to put in the time and effort needed to try and bring one home for him. He was my first ever teammate. I said that in our pace lap when I joined PRL 9 years ago now, before Jerome even owned it. Me, Jerome, and John all raced together, and Chris Perez as well, that's back with us. We all raced in we called it the base league, and it was everything that iRacing gave you for free. And it was just a cool set of guys, maybe 8 to 10 of us. And John was my first ever teammate. We just kind of met through it and stuck together for a long time. We've run charity races for his wife, who's had her own medical problems. And he's just an all-around good guy. The Christmas present I gave to my parents this year was a really cool custom flag that I had on the hood that John handmade. That's why I put JL Woodworks on the side of my truck for him. It's gonna bring a lot of fuel to the fire for the rest of the year.
I know it's tough, and I understand. The rest of the season you got to be there, but let's talk about what the future does bring. We got Iowa next week, and what's that going to look like? You're going to go out there. How many laps of practice are you going to need at Iowa to go up there and compete and win the race?
I need a lot. I'm going to have to try and put in a lot of time, I'm going out of town this weekend, but Iowa just seems to be a tough track for me. I never really can get into a groove there. It's just kind of a weird shaped track for me, but I'm going to put in the time needed to bring it home for the team and bring it home for the family, and see what we've got left for the rest of the season. Still, even though I threw away a whole bunch of points today, I still am looking good to make it to the next round of the playoffs, and that's my goal, and to keep advancing as far as I can.
What I like to hear. Let's thank those sponsors on that big old sign back behind you.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to thank, first off, Brendan Chatley is with Established Traffic Control for letting me pull his name off the truck this week to put John's on. John was also a teammate of Chatley's. We had Rescue Racing all together. I want to thank you guys for putting on such a great broadcast every week, and Jeff Evans for making me such a really cool paint scheme this week, and everyone in the PRL for always having such a good time together.
Well, we love you. You're part of all of our family, and I hope we're part of y'all's as the PRL. And I'm sure we're gonna talk to you at Iowa, and hopefully we're talking to you in Victory Lane.
I hope so, Terry. I appreciate it. Love y'all too.
That's Austin Hunter, Joey.
That is Austin Hunter, indeed. An emotional week, of course, but perhaps not more emotional for anybody but Jeff Evans, if those words made any sense. For Jeff Evans and for Doug Evans, it's a family victory. It's been a night of remembering John Labaffe and all he did for the community, and I guess it is just a celebration. We're here for racing. We're here for the community. We put them together for a good race again tonight.
Yeah, I love this series. We got to do something cool on Monday for RSR, where all of us wore our race spot jerseys, and we got to do that because we love this. We love working for RaceSpot. I love coming out here and calling races with you. We've only had a season of this together, and I think of you as a friend because we get to do it here and we have such great chemistry. But these guys, they race with each other year after year after year. They go into private lobbies and race. They go into official lobbies and race. And I do feel a part of their family, and I know you do too because you've been doing this for a while with them. But that's what I love about iRacing and a RaceSpot. Like, we came out here tonight and we normally joke and laugh and whatever. We still had fun, but tonight was about the community, and that's what all of this is about. It's not about who you don't like and whatever. We're a family that's bonded through the love of racing, regardless if it's dirt, IndyCar, NASCAR. We love it all together. And we got 8 more weeks to go, and we take a couple weeks off for Christmas, and then we come back to be a family again. And I think I'm going to stick with the PRL for a long time, as long as RaceSpot lets me sit up here and flap my gums.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. As long as I have time, I'm happy to commit 10 hours a week to this series. Iowa Speedway coming up next week for the NASCAR Truck Series at least, but there are 5 nights a week of Precision Racing League action here on RaceSpot. Next up is tomorrow, Thursday, the F4, or the IRO4s rather, and the F3 series will be taking on 2 tracks that I should really remember. I believe Okayama is for the F3 because I've seen my teammates practicing there, but that's beside the point. We hope you will join us tomorrow night. We hope you will join us next week, and we hope you will join us for all 5 nights of Precision Racing League action here on RaceSpotTV. Before we go, I will remind you once more of the GoFundMe for John Labaffe's family, for the Labaffe family. You can scan that QR code at the bottom right of your screen. You can type in the URL there, or it is also linked in multiple places on the Precision Racing League forums or on their Twitter. Either way, any donation you can make will be very, very helpful and very, very appreciated. But from me, from Terry Radford, from Hugo Luis, from the entire PRL community, we thank you for tuning in tonight. It was a fantastic race that we put on. We hope you'll join us again. Until next time, so long.